Alright, hello everyone. I'm back with another video here. Last video we talked about different types of malware, and I said that this video we would be talking sort of about updates and different security software that's out there. So I'm going to cover a quick few different choices here that I've picked for anti-malware software. And when it comes down to it, it's really just a matter of opinion. Everybody who's sort of tech savvy and into these things always has a different opinion. There's no one universal opinion saying, oh yeah, this one's the best. So I'm just gonna cover a few more of the common ones and then give my personal opinion. So here we have Avast. A lot of people love to use Avast. It's got a lot of great features. It's very simple. It's not very intrusive really, and a lot of people can just learn to use it right away. It's very simple. It's got a very nice interface, and it really is one of the better products out there for free software. But on their main page, if you scroll down here, you see they have the three different versions: the free, the internet security, and the premier. They highlight all the different features that each one of them carries in these columns. But of course, right now we're just talking about free products. I don't want anybody to buy anything. So if you were going to go with this free essential software, that'd be a great choice. I know a lot of people really love it. I have friends who use it even, and I've heard never really anything bad about it. The next one I have outlined here is Kaspersky. Kaspersky comes with this free 30-day trial. It's a more sort of, I'll say, professional product. It's very it's very simple, easy to use, and it's also a very good product in terms that it really likes to search for absolutely everything. And it's got a lot of great features here if you want to read through them yourself. But the time that I used it, I found it to be a little bit slow, which if you have the time is a good thing because that means it's doing its job. But for me, I just want something quick and easy to use. So if you want, you can try out this free 30-day trial. It's a good product. But another tool by Kaspersky that I like to use is the TDSS Killer for finding rootkits. I've always found that product to be really awesome. The next one I have here is AVG, and right here you can see the two different versions of AVG: the free and the internet security. Internet security is $60, but the free version gives you your antivirus, gives you your link protection for when you're searching the web, and it gives you the file shredder. So of course, the AVG free version here, once again, I know a lot of people who really like it. It's a very simple software, easy to use, really nice interface in my opinion, and yeah, just sort of overall regarded as one of the better ones, I'd say. I have heard some bad things about this one, uh, but for myself, it's always done the job. So if you try it out and you like it, then go ahead and use it. Because really, when it comes down to it, it's just a matter of opinion. But Microsoft Security Essentials. This is the free one given out by Microsoft. This one, I'll just say that it's very simple to use. There's nothing confusing about it. There is no paid version. It's the free one that Microsoft gives out to anybody uh, for Windows products, obviously. But the thing is with this one is for a very long time it was regarded as one of the better free antivirus softwares out there. But I think as of recently, its ranking in that list has gone down a substantial amount, and it wasn't finding some of the more recent malware that's been out there. I don't know what it's sitting at currently, but try it for yourself, see if you like it, and when it comes down to it, if you're looking for a virus, you always want to try out a few different tools because one might find it while another one doesn't. But we'll move on to the next one, which is Malwarebytes, and this is the one that I'm going to recommend and the one that I'm going to be using in this video. It's got the free version and it's got the premium version. So obviously there's the differences between the two, but when you download the free version, you can actually just get the free trial of the premium version to get all the features, which is what I always like to do anyways, because every time I'm using it, it's only about for a day or a couple hours even. I'm only going to be using it once. So this is the one I'm going to recommend. It's very simple. It's got a nice interface. It's always found everything that I needed to find. So we'll move over and we'll open our VM here. And in my download folder, I have already downloaded the Malwarebytes setup, which is Malwarebytes Anti-Malware. That's what that stands for, by the way. So I'm going to run the installer, say yes to all this stuff, accept the agreement, next, and we'll let it create the desktop icon. It installs very quickly, which is a good thing about it. And then it says launch Malwarebytes Anti-Malware. And normally, but I've already installed this before, it'll ask you, do you want to try the premium version for free, get the free trial? And I always say yes, so I'm just going to say finish. And then, oh sorry, it's opening up the Malwarebytes right now. But right now, it says we have our Malwarebytes Anti-Malware trial, and we have our buy premium option, because we are on the premium version trial, and we do have our real-time protection enabled, which is a feature of the premium version, which we're getting right now because we have the trial version. But as you can see right now, it's updating the database, and like I talked about in the previous video, by updating the database, it gets all the recent signatures, all the new signatures, so that you are looking for all the latest malware on your system. Because if you had some old outdated malware, sure, it would find it, but it wouldn't be finding the most recent stuff. So the database updates very quickly. We have the most recent version, and we're all set to go. So we'll come over to our scan page. Now for people who might not have used Malwarebytes recently, if you have used it before, they updated the software I think in March, and they changed the interface a lot. So before, this threat scan and the hyperscan were actually called different things. The hyperscan was the quick scan, and the threat scan was the full scan. And this is what they're referred to as in most antivirus softwares. But just so you know, the difference between the quick scan and the full scan, or the hyper and threat in this case, according to a lot of people, there really is not much of a difference. The quick scan, or the hyperscan, will pretty much find everything on your system. And as it says here, if this hyperscan does check any, or does find anything rather, then they say we recommend doing the threat scan or the full scan afterwards. Because what this full scan does is it just checks for traces, and it really checks other sections of the hard drive, and it just looks for absolutely everything that there could possibly be. But the hyperscan is very intelligent in that it knows exactly where the malware is going to be hiding. The database is up to date, so it knows what it's looking for. So I always recommend, why not just do the full scan? This is just me. A lot of people say, yeah, do the quick scan. But I say, why not just do the full scan? If you're going to be doing it anyways, and in my opinion, doesn't take that much longer, and especially I have right now a clean VM. There's not much on here, so it's not going to be taking long. But if you had a computer that you've been using for 6 years, then you might want to do the quick scan and then the full scan. But even in that case, I say let it sit overnight, do the full scan. It's up to you, play around with it a bit, but I always say do the full scan. So if we wanted to right now, we could run our scan, and you could see what it looks like and all of that, but this is obviously a clean VM like I just said, so we're not going to be finding anything. So I'm just going to minimize this for now, and we're going to look at our updates page, and we'll just quickly discuss that. So of course, like everything else we've learned so far, you can just do a search for it. So if I search for updates, I find Windows Update. There's a lot of other ways to get to it. Like I said before, you can always come to the control panel and find Windows Update. Might even be under administrative tools. Okay, no, that was wrong. That was my bad. But control panel, or just the search, easy ways to find it. But anyways, we're on here on our Windows Update page, and you see right now it says turn on automatic updating. This will help you improve the security and performance of your computer and allow standard users to install updates on this computer. So I'll say okay, turn on automatic updates, but I'm going to say let me choose my settings. So right here it says important updates, please select an option. Install updates automatically, recommended. Download updates, but let me choose to install them. Check for updates, let me know whether to download and install, or never check for updates. Now I'm just going to stick with the recommended option here, and by default it'll say every day at 3 AM it'll install the updates. And then for your recommended updates, it says give me recommended updates the same way I receive important updates, but by default that's unchecked, I believe. And then it says who can install updates, allow all users to install updates on this computer. I'm going to say no. I'm the administrator, I want to be installing them. So now that we have automatic updates turned on, it'll check for updates for the first time, and it's probably going to find a lot of updates, probably somewhere. Oh, right, the first time you update, you check for updates in Windows Update, it says, oh, in order for this to work, Windows Update has to update. So I'll say install now, and we'll let that go. But one thing I do want to point out is that if you're installing updates and trying to run a security scan, an antivirus scan at the same time, you are going to run into a problem. Uh, every time I've tried to do this, mistakenly, the antivirus scan takes forever, and a lot of the times I've had the system freeze. This happened to me when I was a little less experienced, and I just was trying to get everything done at once, which is definitely not a good idea. So make your decision. Choose whether or not you want to run your updates first and then do your scan, or do your scan and then run the updates. It's really up to you, but my personal recommendation is to do your scan, get rid of the malware, then run the updates. And then I'd say after the updates are done, you might even want to run another scan just for the heck of it. But I recommend that way because if you try to install something and there's malware on your computer, the malware could intervene with the actual updating process, and it might even slow down your system for the updates. So just get rid of the malware first and then do your updates. But anyways, as this is checking for updates right here, I'm going to come into my local machine and I want to show you a couple of things. So I have this open on my local machine here, same window. I don't have any updates available except 2 optional ones, and I'm up to date. So we'll see here that when this one's done that we'll have important updates, but right now I'm going to show you the optional updates. The optional updates here often include things like drivers, which is what we're looking at right now. If you don't know what drivers are, just kind of forget about it, but a lot of the time these optional updates aren't as important, and that's why they're referred to as optional. But if there's any ever security updates in here, that's when I'd recommend definitely installing them. But either way, these wouldn't harm my computer at all, so if I wanted to, I could uninstall them or install them rather and say okay, but for right now, I'm just going to go back. And what we're going to take a look at is the update history. These are all the updates that have been installed recently. And it says the importance level of all of them, the status, whether or not, for example, they failed or if they were successful. So for each one of these, we can double click on them and it says a bunch of information about the update. And if you want more information on the update, this is where you go, help and support. It just says a lot of stuff there. As my McAfee software says that it's finished updating. We'll go back here. You can really just see a ton of stuff about this. Once again, if you right click, view details, you get the same information there. And one thing that you could always do here is you could determine whether or not you wouldn't actually want some of these updates on, because every once in a while there's an issue where an update gets released and it actually, instead of fixing a problem, creates a new one. And this is a very common thing. So it says check the status column to ensure all important updates were successful. To remove an update, see installed updates. Alright, so here's all of our installed updates. And if you determined recently, say for instance, that there was an update that had been put through, and instead of fixing an issue that it was supposed to solve, then it caused a new one and it had an even worse effect and you didn't want that on your system. Say for instance, this update was supposed to fix an issue with the Windows firewall, but instead it caused a blue screen of death. Well, obviously that's a big issue and you wouldn't want that to happen. You'd find out exactly which update you were looking for, and then you'd say, okay, here it is, right click uninstall, and that's how you'd get rid of a specific update that was causing an issue. Not all these updates, however, you can uninstall. For example, up here, this Adobe Reader one, I can't do anything to. if we can change it, you can see this button up here that says uninstall, and that's how we know when we're actually able to uninstall it or if we're not going to be able to uninstall it. So as you can see here, there's just a ton and ton of updates. It goes back quite a bit, like all the way back here to 2010, I mean. So really a lot of stuff going on. This isn't always something that people look through too often, but if you do need to use it, then go ahead, and it's a really great tool, very simple to use. It's exactly like the programs and features, and there's no issues ever here. Okay, there's definitely a lot of waiting there, so I had to pause the recording and start it again. But right here, as you can see, we have 110 important updates available and 82 optional updates. So by looking through here, we can see that there are a ton and a ton of updates. Really, you're going to want to install all of them, which is going to take a lot of time, and it's going to be a lot of waiting. And if you're busy doing something else, then you should just have this running in the background. But one thing I do want to point out here is Windows 7 Service Pack 1. Windows 7 Service Pack 1 is a collection of a ton of updates and patches. So I want to quickly describe the difference between a patch, an update, and a service pack. A patch is a quick fix. It might be fixing just a line of code. So say for instance, there's just one little bug in the code, then they'll release a patch, it quickly fixes that. An update is sort of a bunch of little patches. It fixes a bunch of things geared toward one specific thing, I'll say. And a service pack is a collection of a ton of updates and a ton of patches. So the service pack will knock out a bunch of stuff at once, and there might even be some unnecessary updates in here, because the service pack will install all of them and it'll say, okay, well wait a second, I don't need this one because I'm already installing it in the service pack. So you might see that a few fail. Oh, it also says, I'll check that. I think I checked it by accident. But as you can see here, ton of also optional updates, pardon me. And for example, this one, update for Internet Explorer 8, it's optional because here we're already updating Internet Explorer 11, so we're not even going to need this one. So all the optional updates, I'm just going to completely leave alone for now. And there's also language packs, but I'm completely fine with this English language pack that I have right now. So we'll leave our important updates installed, and that's pretty much going to be the end for this video. There's not much else to say. After you install your updates, the system's going to restart. It's going to take a lot of time. It's going to be a lot of time waiting, downloading, etc. But it's one of those things that you have to do because, as you can see here, look at all of these security updates. Security updates are fixing a lot of flaws that you're not going to have to defend against, really. So, you know, in a way, you're lowering an attack surface, pardon me, and you're preventing a lot of bad things from happening in your system. So updates are, in a way, one of the best things you can do, and one of the easiest things you can do to make sure that your computer is secure. So I'm going to install all these updates, hit OK, install updates, and that'll be the end for this video. So when we come back, all of these will be done, and our system will be new and up to date.